In the shadow of decay I rise, Typhus the herald beneath poison skies. With Nurgle's rot I lay worlds to waste. The Reaper's scythe, no life can escape. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth I spread the plague with the twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of Deathguard where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In Nurgle's name I spread death with ease. Pestilence walks with me hand in hand. Rivers of filth drown the land. I am Typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. The Imperial's light crumbles to dust. Wherever I tread, rot consumes the just. Space hulks reek of a foul rebirth. Carriers of plague across the cursed earth. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of Deathguard where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In Nurgle's name I spread death with ease. Pestilence walks with me hand in hand. Rivers of filth drown the land. I am Typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. The Imperium's light crumbles to dust. Wherever I tread, rot consumes the just. Space hulks reek of a foul rebirth. Carriers of plague across the cursed earth. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of Deathguard where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In Nurgle's name I spread death with ease. Pestilence walks with me hand in hand. Rivers of filth drown the land. I am Typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. Nameless howl, the gassing walls. Pestilent tides, new life is born. Nurgle's blessing, a twisted grace. I embrace no gods in my cold embrace. Fear the plague fleet, fear the end. No salvation, no let to defend. I am Typhus, reaper of dread. Bow to Nurgle, embrace the dead.
Oh, actually, so I've got one more thing.
Okay,
Are you ready to go? We'll walk off.
Yeah, classic. Go on, Mr. Dave, take it away.
Good evening, everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending where in the world you're watching us. Welcome back to another episode of the Disgustingly Resilient podcast with myself. I timed that perfectly. Will Reed, who's just come back to his chair, and Mr. Aidan Spallier. How are you doing, guys? Are you both well?
Good, yeah. Just went to get my new friend.
Oh, rock nurgling.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. It's not a rock nurgling. He's holding a grenade. It does look like a guitar, doesn't it? It does look a bit like a guitar, doesn't it? They got it. They got him in Element Games. I was like, you know what? I'll have like a little collection of nurglings for the channel.
That's adorable.
There you go. You can meet his bro.
Yeah, I love it.
It looks a bit like Mr. Blobby, I think.
To any American who doesn't know what Mr. Blobby is, just imagine a giant pink demon from your nightmares.
Do even better. Search after this. Get into
Jim will
YouTube bar,
paint
search
it.
Mr. Blobby. Search Mr. Blobby Noel's house party, and you'll find the most insanity you've probably ever witnessed.
Yeah. Have you seen them Jim will paint it t-shirts? Have you seen the Mr.
Yeah.
Bobby one he's done? It's really funny. I think the bean one's the best though, I have to say. I really want to get that, but I think my missus would be embarrassed to be seeing out the house of me. She doesn't approve of all this stuff.
So Will's been shopping for new Nurglings. Aidan, what have you been up to?
I've been busy making a video that's going up tomorrow for top 5 sort of Deathguard combos. So that'll be coming up tomorrow. On top of that, usual weekly stuff. So work, driving lessons, a bit of coaching for VT, bit of free time I've had to myself. It's been painstakingly working on layering fat folds on this guy. We have got the belly and the face is done. We've got one leg done, and we've just started working up an arm here. So we haven't touched the back of him. We've not got to the booty yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Slowly but surely, chipping away.
He links nicely to this episode, by the way. They're actually quite good at killing big knights. I'm not sure if they're efficient at it, but with the double toughness, like as you can stack the -1/-1. They're actually all right. I think their mobility and base size is probably an issue, and on paper it's like it doesn't actually work in reality. But if you, in theory, you get into combat with a big knight, hits on 2s, wounds on 3s, and then it's D6 +1 or D6 +2 if you've got Rotigus there. So it's not actually bad at it. Yeah, I keep. Yeah, I'm not putting this on the table, but in theory, it's the theory's there at least.
Yeah,
but I think he's too fat.
It's pretty decent.
He is pretty.
Yeah. And just on my side. So I played a new UKTC map. Round 5 on Sunday. I played against Blood Angels. Sorry, not Blood Angels, Black Templars, because Aidan and I both did bad things to Black Templars on Sunday.
We did.
And yeah, I played Deathlord's Chosen again. Played exactly my same list. I've shared it into the Deathlord's Chosen channel, but it was a pretty. I did the uppy downy again turn 1. So I looked at his army and went. He could, in theory, put quite a lot of bodies out, so I'm going to make sure I've got something to deter him off the middle. He went first, so I upped down as a Death Shroud. I had infiltrated Pox Walkers over at the top. I moved him 5. I rolled a 6 on the advance. I put his Executioner and Crusader squad in contagion range, and then dropped 6 Death Shroud on them and killed both of them. And then the Vanguard vets got out of the vehicle. And because I blew up the vehicle with a Mephitic Blighthauler, and then the Death Shroud rolled a big enough charge to block myself into the Crusaders and pile into the Vanguard vets that were in the tank, killed the Vanguard vets that were in the tank, wiped out almost all the Crusaders with 2 Death Shroud on sweep, and then they survived Helbrecht and an entire group coming in. They and I popped Fight on Death. The same Death Shroud brick killed all of them down to Helbrecht. And then in my turn, Typhus dropped in 6 away because everything was in contagion and rolled a 6 on the mortal wounds into Helbrecht and killed him. So that one Death Shroud 6-man brick killed and tanked 30% of his army.
Nice.
Pretty much in turn 1. It was
Very impressive.
Yeah.
I was literally like, sorry about this. It was like, yeah.
I played against the Black Templar Horde list with he had 80 Crusaders, so 4 squads 20. The funniest moment when I was playing with a 10-man Marine brick, and I shot the 2 light launchers in my 10-man squad, shot into his squad, and I was like, okay, so 2d3 shots, no. And then I was like, cool, take 17 saves. 2d3 plus 4 blast each, 5 plus sustains, and I was fishing to reroll everything. So I was just like, here's a load of saves from 2 guys, all damage 2, all AP 2. Turns out it's pretty dumb.
That sounds absolutely horrible again. So unfortunately we went clubbing for Black Templars, which is, let's be honest, is never a good matchup for into Deathguard. But yeah, it was good to play the new map with the new missions and get a trial for that. And actually, I'm pleased with the deployment possibility with the list. So I've played the same list now, I think 9 games in a row. So just tuning it for Leeds, not tuning it up. I am playing that for Leeds, but yeah, good to get the reps in. Does somebody want to go and check in with chat?
Yeah, so I'll have a quick check in chat. So we already got a thank you very much to Mr. Matt Hillhouse, becoming a Death Shroud member. Hell yeah, the highest tier of support there. Thank you so much, mate. Make sure you get yourself in the Discord and all that good stuff, and get yourself, submit a list in the Blight Surgery. Enter the giveaway that we've got going on. Literally ends tomorrow. For anyone that's not aware, for all of our Plague Marine and above members, or our members, we have 3 signed copies of The End and the Death Volume 1 by Mr. Dan Abnett himself. Signed copies that are up for giveaway. 3 of them, so 3 winners for any of our members. To enter that, obviously be a member, and once you've been a member and you've joined our Discord, head over to the giveaways channel and react to that post. Now, on top of that as well, for bookkeeping, just while we're here, we also have our painting competition that comes to an end tonight. So midnight tonight is the last chance to get your entry on our painting competition. It doesn't have to be a Deathguard model. Again, just be a member of the Discord. It doesn't have to be a Deathguard model. It can be absolutely anything you want. And then myself and Natalie are going to live stream probably Friday or Sunday to go through all the entries and pick our favourites, our wins. And just everyone's going to get a look at. Every entry is going to get looked at. We're going to talk about it and have a fun time just going through a bit of hobby work. Also, a bit of a hobby stream there, which should be fun for the community as well. So those are the goings on in the community. Part of that, we obviously have a lot of the usual names in the chat here. It's good to see all you guys here. And I imagine they've been having quite a bit of discussion in the Discord as well about the upcoming Nightmare. Let's just address the elephant in the room. What happened this week that's made Night such a topic? Yeah, that's one. That's one.
That's one, but I'd say that's probably the lesser of the two. I think the points coming out sort of definitely made that part of the conversation, but I think it's the Imperial Knights are the more oppressive of the two, aren't they? From what I've seen at least. Have they had any rules change apart from data sheets and points though? Because they haven't
not really
changed the attachments, really, have they? They haven't improved their index. Same index points, they've just balanced the data sheets to match the Chaos ones, and then they're getting a codex with detachments. Am I right in saying that? Or
so their codex is coming out later on in the year. So they just got their updated profiles and points drops for now to match the Chaos Knight versions of the same chassis. So, shall I go for an Aiden rant very quickly?
Go on then. Hang on, everyone is just buckle in. Hold on.
Okay.
Right.
So
okay, I'm good to go.
So, when you haven't got your codex out, when that codex, that index that you have currently is balanced around the profiles that you have inside your index and them being expensive and T12 and stuff like that, you can't then just go and change them. And here's the idea I'd give to everyone else. If Mortarian could drop to T11 but go to 20 runes and drop 70 to 100 points, would you take that trade?
Yes.
Yes, so would I, 100%. Look, toughness 12 is quite a bracket point. It is, let's not deny it. But they also didn't, let's be honest, it wasn't just a toughness loss. They gained the 4 wounds, and this is an army that has army-wide feel no pain, so really actually got more than 4 wounds. It ended up getting more 5 to 6 wounds, realistically, on every night, because it's more wounds that can be saved on feel no pain. And this is an army where we have Canis Rex and units like that, which were already very, very strong, and Knights were already doing very well on the win rates, etc. You think putting Canis Rex down 1 toughness, 1 singular toughness point, changing nothing else on that data sheet, and giving him 4 wounds to boot, means you can drop him like 75 points? Are you sure about that, Chief? Because
it's the amount of points, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I think there is a definite fair argument to say that the points drop and the wounds, it's not quite a side grade. I think it is a slight nerf, but they've overcompensated on the points. I think 30 to 40 points probably would have been right. Instead, they've way over. They've just gone way too far on the points. Yeah.
Like,
we're not. We're we're a book that has arguably got the similar problem, but it's weird. The more the new books are going out, the less that I feel like we're undercosted. Yeah. But only because the rest of the game is kind of, sort of catching up with us. I guess it looks at our book might have been the beginning of 10th edition Codex creep, which it seems they've done quite a good job of balancing until now. Now it looks at every book is just sort of definitely more. It's more finely tuned than what had come out previously. I think we'd had a couple of sort of instances where one book had just been a bit overtuned, but now every book just seems like it's on a trajectory is probably the best way.
And the fact that Forge World Knights, the Sarastas chassis, are under 400 points is kind of criminal. especially when the stuff like the Atropus just has a 5-pin vulnerable base, not ranged only, that has it in melee as well, and that's the same cost as the other ones. Like, that was no thought was put into that point. So you just literally went Sarasta Sniper 365 for all of them. Like, they're not the same between them. Like, one literally has an invul in melee, the Lancer does as well on a 4-up, but the Lancer is melee only, so I can give him that. The Atropus has melee, guns, and invul in shooting melee. And these things like 28 wounds now or something, which is like a lot of things to go through. So so here's my argument. Why change the Imperial Knights? That's my only question. Like, why did, even though the Codex isn't coming out, what made you feel like you had to change the profiles? Especially, again, when they're balanced around their current profiles and their index. Why did you have to go ahead and change them to T11? Now, people say, oh, well, it's because they didn't want to have, one set of knights be T11 with more wounds and the other be T12 with less wounds, because that wouldn't make any logical sense. Okay, then please explain to me why last edition Chaos Space Marine spent a year with 1 fucking wound when everyone else had 2 wounds. Make it make sense, because that isn't it, Chief. So anyway, rant over. Basically, Imperial Knights are looking really strong at the moment because they've had such ridiculous points drops. I think you can get, is it 5 big knights now, pretty reliably in a list.
Quite.
And the one, it's Canis and 12.
Oh, that's also a build, yeah.
It's one of the oppressive ones. I don't know how many big ones. I think the other thing to add into that is it's a mistake that they've. I'm kind of like paraphrasing other podcasts, but it's also sort of like it is something that common sense tells you. To balance Chaos and Imperial Knights at the same point is also a mistake because they operate on a completely different set of rules. It's like balancing us if we had Oath when we don't have Oath. Like, or I suppose it's a bad example because it's not comparable, but like they're not the same. Like a Vindicator in Space Marines is not the same as a Vindicator in Chaos Space Marines. Yeah. Because Vindicators with Oath and +1 to wound is very different from Dark Packs. Not that one's, not both are good, but one's notably more powerful than the other.
One's a lot more reliable.
Imperial Knights, the Imperial Knights just get access to better rules. Like a feel no pain all the time on more wounds is a lot more valuable, so you should pay more points for it.
Yeah.
And then the reroll of 1 hit, 1 damage when you've got like 2-shot weapons again is a lot more valuable. Whereas the Chaos ones,
Battle Shock.
The rules are, the Chaos ones have got flavourful rules, but there's nothing there that's like outlandish apart from maybe a few of the upgrades, but you buy them with points to add on to the cost of the model.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, the Imperial ones they've just overcorrected something basically.
I mean,
created a problem.
I was just doing a quick bit of maths on the points there. So Canis Rex has dropped 16% in costs, Castellan 22.5% in costs, Crusader 18% in costs, Errant 10, Paladin 15. These last two not so much because people don't take them as much, but the Valiant 21% and the Warden 19%. Those are big drops.
Those are big numbers. We're not talking 5 or 10 points drops here. We're talking like 70, 60s.
115, 70, 80, 115, 85, 70, 60. Like you drop enough points in 2 of those to then take a dog.
Yeah, and I think as well Chaos Knights also doesn't have a Canis Rex. Like there's no equivalent.
No, it doesn't.
In Chaos Knights for Canis Rex.
That's my gripe with the new model. I wish the new model had been a Chaos Knight character.
That'd be
like
cool.
Instead of that, whatever. Well, like, do you know what I mean? Like if he'd been like a possessed knight, do you know what I mean? Like he'd actually been a demon knight, and that had been his thing. And there'd only been one, and he had like special rules like Canis, and then that would have been more cool than what they've done because that new knight is
garbage.
It's just like why? Like, yeah. Like it's. I get they just wanted to change something and they said they'd give everyone something new, but they could have like. They've added a sprue. Like they could have added a more exciting sprue than the one they've added. I think it's a bit of a cop out.
I like the big drill. I love big drills. That sounds wrong. But it's the rules for that thing are just not very good. It's really weak in melee, and it has like so many variable shots. It's super reliable.
Everything is swingy. That's the problem with it.
Yeah,
everything is D3 or D6. So
what we're gonna see is, and for anyone that maybe is new to the game and hasn't existed in a game when knights are good, is what happens when knights are good is we enter a knight meta because knights are Yeah, a nightmare. Knights are like custodians. They don't need many models to get on the table. You can also spray it. You can paint them up very easily. You get a silver spray can, spray all the internal bits, and then you just got to paint some little armor panels on them. And that's it. 3 colours, super easy. So people, when Knights are good, well, I mean, we have a lot of meta chasers in the game. It's a thing that exists, but people very much go and pick up Knights and... yeah, Dave. So I expect to see the meta be flooded, at least initially, with more Imperial Knights than Chaos Knights. I think you'll see Chaos Knights because it's a new codex, but I'll say this real quickly. I don't think Chaos Knights can exist in the same game where Imperial Knights are at the level they are currently, because the Chaos Knights are looking at like taking like 5 or 6 big Knights at the moment. The problem is, if Chaos Knights come against Imperial Knights basically win that every single time.
Win every time, yeah.
Because the Imperial Knight player is going to go, which one's your Warlord? And then they're going to kill it turn 1, and then their entire army's going to 5-up Feel No Pain for the entire game. And the alternative is, they go, which one's your Warlord? And you hide it behind a wall at the back, and you basically play it at 400 points down, in which case you probably lose that game. Yeah. So I actually think we'll see the Imperial Knights be quite a lot more popular. Which means we need to prepare for it, don't we, guys?
Very much so.
This is the thing, when a knight meta is upon us, it has impacts on everyone, not just Deathguard. Everyone now has to deal with the fact that you legitimately could come up against 5 massive Imperial Knights. We're not talking, like as Will said, 12 and 1 is still a thing. 12 Armigers and Canis is still a thing, but also 5 bigs is now a thing. And you need to be able to... Go on.
Yeah. I know it's a really good point you were making, is when you talk about everyone's got to prepare for it, it shifts the unit mix in armies. If we see a big chunk of Imperial Knights coming to Leeds, people maybe start submitting lists that have got more las cannons in them, more heavy hitting, high damage weapons with fewer shots, which then as Deathguard is interesting because we can actually in melee, we can dumpster Knights quite strong, but then that changes the way we might have to think of what's coming to... Well, my list dumpsters Knights, definitely. So I think Deathguard's super strong into Knights personally, but...
I'll tell you what then, so because I keep hearing people say they're going to dumpster Knights with all these units, and like, I don't just mean in these conversations, but sometimes there's other hoops to jump through. For example, like Champions of Contagion, it was pointed out at me the weekend and very right, and also heard on Art of War. 3 Death Shroud and a load of Virulence, even on the sweep with a big CP investment. Once a Knight's already lost a wound, could dumpster a Knight, and yeah, fair play, it could. Like I was proven wrong on the math on it, but how often are you going to have that many CP? How often, there's more going on with the Knights game in this. Like if we break the Knights game down, it's not just about killing big Knights. There's also all the OC from the little hulls, because Knights also play a primary game. Like it's, and if you dumpster in the big Knight here, okay, so see if you have your go turn, you charge 3 Knights. You fight first with 1, you dumpster that one, that's where all your CP went. Knight interrupts. The second one that you thought you dumpstering, you get dumpstered. Third one, maybe you had to re-roll a save unexpectedly somewhere. Maybe the Knight spikes, maybe you just bounce off it because maybe that's the one with an input in combat, and then the Knight just picks you up in response. Like it's not like it's a straight up trading game like some people think it is, because it's right, like the Champions of Contagion list can dumpster that, but it's 4 CP, because I think you have to re-roll the charge. If you do you know what I mean? It's one of these sod's law things, that'll be the charge that you fail, and that'll be extra CP, and I think it's going to be a harder game. And okay, so you've dumpstered that 1 big Knight, but what was holding primary? Did you score any primary? Do you know what I mean? I think there's more at play with the overall Knights meta and list build and how to go into it. So what are the Knight problem like if we break it down? So it's high OC, high speed, and then high toughness. Can you move block a big Knight? I can't remember if you can or you can't.
You can't move block it with infantry or anything that's not a tank, but it also can't finish a move on top of your infantry. So you just have to be smart. Like rather than screening like where it wants to move past you, you more screen where it wants to land. So you can technically move block them. It's just not done in the same way as previously.
Yeah, you just basically have to take up real estate, and so they can't move onto it. But they can just fall back, no problem, and they can walk over units because they've got super heavy.
Yeah. So I mean, so you are right. When it comes to big knights, like, okay, so let's start at what would you guys say is like the most staple Deathguard build right now that everyone sees? It's VV, isn't it? Let's be honest.
VV is the most common build out there.
It's VV. So VV currently is usually running like a 10-man Marine brick, 2 squads like Death Shrouds, Demon Prince. Now, instantly, we got to talk about here now. That Demon Prince cannot be your Warlord anymore. I know it sounds dumb. In any other matchup, it doesn't matter. You cannot have your Lone Up Demon Prince be your Warlord in a Nightmare because you don't get to use him for the same reason we said about the Knights. Because if you ever put that Demon Prince anywhere near middle, even if he's Lone Up, they will just punch something through. I will sacrifice Canis Rex into that Demon Prince to get my army 5 up field paint army wide. And the second that happens, just concede. It's over. Like, if that happens like turn 2, you are just done for, mate. So instantly, that makes the Warlord Demon Prince doing like he normally gets the benefits of like being able to Plague Surge for 1 CP for your entire army to get +2 for each contagion range. Now, that's not looking great. Now, go on.
You could just change the Warlord though to the Tallyman though, can't you? Like,
you can, yeah.
Someone who's on your home field, but the problem I think is the bigger one with that because the instance of is Mortarian.
Yes,
Mortarian has to be your Warlord.
Yeah. Mortarian becomes... So Mortarian is... I don't think Mortarian becomes unplayable in Nightmare, but I think you really start playing on a knife edge.
I think the other... But I think... Yeah, I completely agree with
you.
So,
yeah, you take it away, Dave, because you play Morty, actually. Me and Will...
I've played Morty a lot. So what I will say about that is they've still got to get to him, right? Morty giving ability... When I say I've played him a lot, I've played him consistently, right? Since Codex, I've only played Deathlord's Chosen. That's all I can talk. I won't talk to VV or the Cock properly because you guys have probably played more than that, and you've played Mortarian Hammer.
Oh, you love the Cock, Dave.
Yeah, I do.
Get that joke in there.
If it's a Deathguard plagued Cock, then who wouldn't like it? It's like a contaminated Savoy. So when I'm playing Morty in Deathlord's Chosen, I've got him usually behind the mid or behind the kind of 9x3 ruin like piece because it's obscuring him, but he can also fly straight over if he needs to. And then I'm basically using, say, Pox Walkers on the middle within 5 of the wall to basically drop them back behind the wall if I want them to bring something out. So in this instance, I can see Morty actually being a bit of a lure as well, of being like, well, you do want to kill him. I can actually keep him perfectly safe here. And if you come anywhere near my lines, I'm going to drop 3 units of Death Shroud on you. And I've got Mephitic Blight Haulers that are great into killing and hitting Knights really, really hard. I've got a couple of Blight Launcher Drones which are also going to hit Knights really, really hard. And you know, I can sit and wait till my go turn, then come out and drop my army on you, and then hit you with everything plus mortals in your turn from Mortarian, from Typhus, from Tank Shock, from grenades, from Stank Shock. I can actually have a really, really powerful go turn into Knights. And I'm not saying that is... I agree with everything you said, by the way, Will. Like, you've still got to get through, 26 wounds on a big Knight. Still got to get through an interrupt, if that happens. But I think we have got the capacity to kill. You know, if you can get into two Knights, 2 little dogs that are hiding behind a building or something with our melee, you can kill both of them. You can get into... You drop into a big Knight, you can kill that. And actually... if you then, what you've got to do though, I think, is build up big enough. You've got positions and stage well enough that when you're gonna have to go at the right time. But we've got between Mephitic Blight Haulers, Heavy Blight Launcher Drones, Death Shroud, Mortarian, other things. We've got the weight of damage to in a rightly staged go turn to cripple that army, which means it hasn't got enough left to go and play secondaries.
Problem is though, the go turn that we have. I don't, because we were talking about this at the weekend. The problem is most armies' go turns don't actually go enough. Now they've got the extra wounds. Like for example, if you go right, my whole army, and there's 5 big Knights, you probably kill 2, and then the other 3, that's might be good. Then looking down the whole. But if the other 3 are looking down the whole army, depending on what your army is, if you're an elite army, you might have just lost the game. Like 3 Knights in some armies is GG. Like if they get
two big Knights cannot take out the rest of your army. Not in the next turn, and then you're scoring with fast drones, with Blight Haulers, with Pox Walkers that are sat around with Chaos Spawn.
This is the thing, though. Are you scoring with your drones and your Pox Walkers?
Yeah, that's what.
Like, think how much OC the Knights have got compared to what we've got. Like,
Yeah, but I would play to kill them, not try and out OC them. The way I would play my game, I'm just talking from my perspective, is my list is very much designed to just, and I've rolled it out loads of times into like multiple dogs, big knights, like what each one of my units can do into it on average. I think I'm until I put it on the table, I'm not saying definitively, like until it actually happens, then it's all theory. And as Mike Tyson says, you know, everybody's plan goes out the window and you get punched in the mouth. So that's a fair thing. But I actually am relatively confident taking my list into knights. I think damage wise, I think I can do enough damage to it, particularly a kind of big knight, a more heavy big knight list that then's got less models to do scoring, that I can do enough damage to it that it's having to then use those big models to play the game and try and score. Whereas I've got other things that are smaller that I can score with, even if I lose my big 6-man and one of the 3-mans in a play to just hold it, and then I've got Mortarian to throw in too.
So, a fair play, I think a 6 Death Shroud squad led by a Lord of Virulence, a Lord of Contagion, probably does kill a big knight in most attachments. I think I could get behind that one quite easily. The Blight Haulers and the Bloat Drones aren't reliable because you're winning on 4s without rerolls to wound. That's the issue with them.
Yeah, but you're doing damage to them, which then means when you put a 3-man into another big knight, it finishes it off.
In what sense? Sorry.
Well, if you shoot a big knight with lethal melters or blight drones and crack missiles, and you take its wounds down and you take it at half, you then.
But you might not, is what I mean, though, because you're wounding on 4s and it gets a 5+ field. Like if I get an
personally, I've rolled it loads and loads of times, and on average, I think it works.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah. I think you can mob them, but if it doesn't work, so this here shoot and bounces.
Yeah. Right.
That's what I mean. Like, his 4s are swingy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could go either way, couldn't it? That's what I mean. Like, it's you want to be away, and then if they rotate iron shields on that night, do you know what I mean? Then it's all of a sudden there's so many variables. You have to mob, and like if you invest everything in the one big knight, the one knight lives on 2 wounds. It could be. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? Like, how do we? Yeah. I think the thing that I'm trying to get at isn't that like, well, this can do this, because I think that's how everyone's going to have to play the game. Is how else can we play the game to have redundancy? Because I mean, I'm saying this. I've been caught out the weekend with a couple of these sort of like not redundancy things. Like, you really want to play the game where you're also competing on primary and not just relying on killing them. Because I think as soon as you're in a like, I'm going to kill all your knights game, I think most armies probably lose 60% of them. But if you play trying to compete, I know that's a totally fair point. I would also say the flip is also true. If you try and play the primary game against them and you're just trying to out OC and out hold things, then all you're doing is putting stuff in the open to get picked up. But we can actually do this, by the way. There's a list that we were looking at as a team. That, like, for example, what if you go down the Pox Walker route, you spam the balls with Pox Walkers and then put all the anti-tank behind it. But it's not it's a weird, it's not a terrible looking list, you know, because knights kill with bodies.
That's playing for knights, right? Like, I don't think it makes sense to play a Pox Walker list at a super major.
But then what else kills a Pox Walker? Because everyone's also taking into knights. So the list that I look, I mean, we wrote it and we talked about it. The list has 6 Blight Haulers, 3 Bloat Drones with heavy Blight launches, 6 Death Shroud, and a Lord of Virulence, and a 3 Death Shroud, and a Lord of Contagion, and then 70 Pox Walkers with 3 squads of 10 coming in later, and also has Typhus. So I mean, it's not like a list that's just a horde, but it's a very like obscure. Like, I wanted to put it on the table. It could be awful, but it's like another way where you're playing the mission. Okay, you can kill knights. Maybe it's not enough, but you hit a point like they can't. The 70 plus 3 bodies, they actually struggle with that. Whereas if they're, do you know what I mean? Like, and then other armies would also struggle with that for the same reason. There's not many lists in the game. Like, as with someone in our team who plays GSC,
right?
It's so hard to kill 20 guys with no armor because sometimes you don't have the volume. Like, it's just like, do you know what I mean?
If you're taking into las cannons and stuff, then that isn't enough shots to do it. But Aidan, look, Will and I have just been bouncing back and forth. What do you think?
So there is the option of going anti-meta.
Aidan,
you're muted. You're muted.
Wait, am I muted? Oh,
It's like being at work.
I should not be muted.
No, he's still muted.
Oh, hello, was I muted?
Oh, hang on, I'll try and lip read.
Don't try it.
He's saying,
no, I was muted to them.
So what he's saying is, yeah. So when I'm playing into Imperial Knights, I like to.
Skip it off.
So I was probably muted to the guys on Discord, but I wasn't muted to the
go.
stream because it's picking up two different mics. You guys came through this, they came through that. Okay, so you can go anti-meta and you can try and do the Pox Walker spam, because the thing is, if the meta adapts to deal with, and Quack's rightly just said in a 12 months membership, thank you very much, Quack, appreciate it. He said anti-meta, 120 Pox, let's go. Happy anniversary, Plague Boys, love you lot, stinky binky. Thank you, Quack, appreciate it. And thank you for the year of support, it's amazing. So you can do the anti-meta and try and go the Pox Walker spam. Now, there's an interesting element to it, but the problem I have with Pox Walker spam is, I don't think it's bad, I think you're fine, but I played that stupid list, 60 Pox Walkers, and 60 Pox Walkers got picked up like that by Knights. They can genuinely pick them up, it's not an issue for them. You'd be surprised at how easily they can pick up Pox Walkers. Now, that being said, again, you position them smart and do things like that. It's not too, I don't think it's terrible, but I don't know if I agree with just trying to outscore Knights. I think at a certain point, Knights have to start falling or you lose the game. Because they're just, like, they're very dominating on the battlefield. They have lots of damage output potential. The OC, they're active in all the phases. Like, you gotta think about it. If you look at Knights as a damage output army, the second and they have 100% damage output when they're operating at full. You kill 2 Knights, the army has lost 40% of its damage output. We lose 2 Blight Haulers, we've lost maybe 10%. Like, they disproportionately lose the ability to clap back the more that die. Now the problem is you can't apply that damage to Knights slowly over time. You need to drop them. Like, they need to go from full to dead, which is harder now. Admittedly, the more wounds actually kind of makes it a lot harder now. Going back to what I was saying about VV, I think VV might actually okay, let's look at the strats VV has to kill Knights. He has rerolls to hit and wound in shooting. Shooting, that's still a good strat, don't get me wrong, it's still pretty good. Like, the Plague Marine 10-man brick can still do quite a bit of damage to some big Knights with those shooting, as long as you get some decent rerolls with the sustained lethal 5s. But it can't be used in melee, and the Plague Marine brick's probably going to get 1 activation off, realistically, and then it's probably going to get picked up by something. So it's not bad, it definitely can do a lot of damage against the Knight. You kind of need to bait out rotate somewhere else, though. You don't really want to be shooting to 4 invulnerables. Baiting out rotate on Canis is going to be a big deal. You need to almost pretend you're going to shoot Canis, then not. Because if Canis uses his rotate first, they can't then rotate on a different Knight. However, if they do it the opposite way around, I believe they can do double rotate. So just bear that in mind.
They can't do double rotate.
Have they got rid of that now? Because it used to be one of those where it's like...
They've got rid of that quite a while.
Is rotate only that activation, or is it for the phase?
Phase, annoyingly. Basically, you're looking to bait out rotate. Now, VV does have reroll all shots against the target. So triple blight launch drones with LOV can actually do decent work, being its strength 10 into C10. You are relying a bit on the 4-ups to wound, but you do also have lethal hits. Let's not forget about that. And with 4 rerolls to hit, you can technically fish, and you will hit most of your shots because of the rerolls to hit. I wouldn't fish. I just reroll anything that's not 3. So you can actually put a lot of damage on it. But the best bit about that is the ability to, as long as you have your bloat drones line up 2 targets, you can even you can shoot the first one at a guy, and then hopefully he rotates, and then you pivot all your damage to a different Knight with the Plague Marines to pick up a second Knight. You almost want to bait and switch it. Part that, though, I don't think VV has much going for it. -1 damage into Knights, no one's running the Gatling Knight. There are some guns which does matter against, but it's definitely not in melee where they're just going to clap you with 3 damage sweep on a Lancer. Again, Death Shroud 2 to kill. Because, again, 3 down to 2 makes no difference versus Death Shroud. Marines just die, because they go from 3 to 2, still die. The Atropus, it can make some difference too, but, again, if it's like Canis, it's an 8 damage fist. -1 damage really doesn't matter. So I think, VV almost might be, wavering on its top spot in a Nightmare. So, I personally have pivoted to Champions of Contagion, because if I can't... Deathguard, being able to bring them down to T10 is better for us, because we have T10 strength 10 weapons, and it makes the Halls better a little bit, because they get the +1 to wound and stuff. But we don't really have, we have las cannons, but it's all on kind of vehicles, that kind of shit. Is anyone lining up to bring a Predator Annihilator? No.
No.
No, they're terrible. So the idea is basically to maximize the thing that we do have, which is lethal hits and crit fives. So I'm basically I built a list that is just like every single unit I have is going to be lethal sustained crit fives. So I have 2 Lord of Contagion Death Shroud squads with the crit fives. Now, the thing that I'm having to learn in my list is I need to have a Tallyman. Debating 2 will. I don't like having 2, but as you said,
if you're in Champions of Contagion, you've got to have 2 or a
good.
Demon Prince.
You need the CP.
Without the CP, that detachment is nothing. That detachment, the more I play that list, the more it's like everything requires every turn you need 2 CP.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like to do anything meaningful, it just drinks CP, and this big 3 CP, I'm going to call it 4 CP combo because I think that'll be the sod's law one. You have to re-roll a charge, or you might have to throw a grenade first and make sure that you've chipped a wound off the knight or something. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to step in.
No,
I do think that's. I think it's an important point to make because I think
you need to have CP. You really need to make sure you have CP. And the other problem that comes with that is against knights, fix looks pretty good because you can go bring it down and assassinate. The problem being there though that you also lose potentially getting CP from pitching a card. In case your Tallyman lets you down. So you really need to have CP management. Like you can't be popping a smoke. You can't be, re-rolling a command re-roll. You need to I want on my go turn to have 5 CP, basically. I need to have 5 CP. Because I need to re-roll hits and wounds in shooting. I need to crit 5s in melee and potentially either re-roll a charge, as Will said, or best case scenario, I don't need to re-roll the charge and then I can pop crit 5s, re-roll all hits and wounds. Because that 100% puts a knight in the ground. That genuinely does. So it's an interesting one. Now, that being said, there are also other things we can sort of pivot to. So for me personally, I've actually brought this guy back along, Mr. Carnivore, because Mr. Carnivore, yes, he went to weapon skill 3 instead of 2, but he kept his attacks, but he also gained sustained hits on his attacks. So mathematically, he's a wash. Mathematically, of course, you could just roll a bunch of 1s and 2s, which sucks, but mathematically, he's a wash. And this guy here, still turns out absolutely twats a knight. AP4 means they don't get a save at all in close combat. D6 plus 2 damage each. Will, you've played with Carnivores before. I'm sure at some point you've applied a Carnivore to an Imperial Knight's face. And
they used to reliably one turn one. The thing that worries me with them is the hits. They only reliably kill a knight. And it's also the wounds I found with 1 CP spent somewhere. Because maybe you roll 2 1s to hit. So you re-roll one of the 1s. Or you drop 1 wound unexpectedly, so you re-roll that into a 3. Or you hit and wound on average dice. One of your damage rolls is probably going to be under. I used to find 1 CP on one of the 3 rolls would get you over the line. Whereas now, when you hit on 3s, it could go both ways. You obviously spike, but if you roll 2 2s and a 1, it's not happening anymore. And the Carnivore is gone. They don't live through the slap.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
I think for the 140 points, I do think it's good.
14-inch move, 140 points. So if I lose it, it's not an overcommitment. It's just 104 points. In other games, it still has play. It's still a very fast-moving model with OC. It can still do the rapid ingress plays that we used to do back in Plague Storm list. So I got very used to using this little guy and getting the most out of him. He's lost OC8, but OC6 is still genuinely more than enough to take most things. So I actually quite like the Carnivore. His points hasn't changed. He's still 140. So I really still like the Carnivore. So I'm trying one out at the moment. And also, more than anything, he does that role that you talked about in episodes ages ago, Will, of that linebacker. If I had just Marines and Rhinos and all my Death Shroud off the board, the Imperial Knight player can feel free to push me. Because, the Plague Marines could maybe kill one, but they need a bit of luck. Whereas if this guy's just hanging around behind that big L in the middle, suddenly you don't really want to get within 14 inches of this guy. Because that, again, as you said, it's a bit swingier on dice now because we don't hit on 2s. But at the same time, he could also roll double 6s and then boom, then you're up to you got 7 hits out of 6 attacks somehow.
Yeah.
And again, it's the AP4, which is no save at all.
And Big Knights and Little Knights are both using OC, right?
Yes.
As well now, which is nice.
Yeah, I agree with that. The other thing to throw in there, and I'm going to put the caveat in, I think this is only Mortarian's Hammer, and I'll add why, unless you're possibly in America and you live in and you're playing on GW Train, the Hell Brute is is better than a Carnivore at killing a Knight. Like, he is, because of his data sheet rule, because he's an old Carnivore. Instead of hitting on 2s and wounding on 3s, he hits on 3s and wounds on 2s.
Yeah.
He wounds better than, and he also spreads his own contagion, and he starts with more strength. He has rolls more dice to hit. That is a model that will genuinely punt a Knight into the sun more than a Carnivore, more than anything else, and it's the best trade you'll ever get. But that 7-inch move, like, I listened to a podcast and they're like, oh, he's so quick. He's not quick, and he's also made of paper.
And he's made of paper.
You will get get one chance. You need that move through us. As the crow flies, 7 inches, especially with now the UKTC, for example, has got some mid-board staging. In Mortarian's Hammer, 1, possibly 2 is probably essential now if you're running Mortarian's Hammer, because for that reason. I mean, we talked us in the previous episode. I've kind of stole it from other sort of podcasts and lists, but I know that's what people are looking at, and I think it's smart. I mean, if you wanted to like really go anti-Knights, you can maybe put 3 in the Mortarian's Hammer list and kind of stage them on the middle and send them out like one at a time, little missiles, because that is your best trade. But what are they doing in other matchups? Like, I don't know. Like, I'd need to test it more, but I think 1 in Mortarian's Hammer is probably auto-include.
Especially on UKTC for us with that big square, he just can exist in there and threaten all that mid-board.
And then just punch through as soon as he needs to, yeah.
Yeah, I do agree. Also, just very quickly, very quickly. Thank you very much to Meds for the 10 gifted memberships there, mate. Yeah. Really appreciate the support. It's massive. So if you are gifted a membership, say thank you to Meds. But then make sure to check your perks on our YouTube channel homepage. You'll find the link to get into our Discord. And you can enter the giveaway and all that stuff. So thank you very much, Meds. I really appreciate it. 10 gifted memberships is massive. Thank you so much, mate. And we've also got Dan Rempel coming in with 7 months membership at Death Shroud. Say, hell yeah, thank you, Dan. Death Shroud plus LOC have anti-everything 2+ with lethals. They really do feel like that sometimes. They do feel like anti-everything. So yeah, I'm on the LOC Death Shroud train. But yeah, I mean, Hammer Brute is a good shout as well, to be fair there.
There is one more that I alluded to at the start in your model, and this is something that I think, again, I keep writing this, and I'm sure there's a list there, but I can't work it out. The Demon's Detachment is really good in the Knights because of the double stacking -2 toughness. Yep. 3 Guos. I think it has to have 3 Guos. Could be 2 on Rotigus, but I think 3 Guos might be the way if you're taking for Knights. Because remember how it procs the whole rest of your army. All of a sudden, your bloat drones are wounding on 3s. Your blight haulers are wounding on 2s.
3s.
No, the battles are wounding on 3s.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but still,
3s,
still
yeah,
plus 1 though.
But you see what I mean? Like, it adds up quite fancy. And the Guo is basically an old Carnivore again. He hits on 2s, he wounds on 3s with his last cannons in combat. Like, whether you can mobilely get them around the board, I don't know. But on paper, it's interesting. I don't know if I'd go past interesting, because, like I say, the base is flipping huge,
really
and only
huge,
one can go through a wall.
And the move is slow as well.
Yeah, but that is a matchup where if on the right board, it could genuinely be favourable to Deathguard if it works as the theory does. But the reality is, when we talk about defilers, in theory, do all this stuff, but in reality, they're shit. Like, I was really excited.
Around, then what you need to do is take a Porphyrion. That thing kills everything in Knights lists. No problem. I don't care what big Knight you've got. If I shoot it, it's dead.
I think
it's 700 points.
What about an Atropus? Why don't we could just add an Atropus into our list?
It's so expensive. Oh, an Atropus,
so expensive.
Okay, no, the Atropus. Yeah. We'll have a look at it in a sec, actually. I just wanted to say very quickly on your note about Great Unclean Ones there. I think another good thing for Great Unclean Ones is as well, a lot of units like the Carnivore, for example, the Hellbrute, for example, the Demon Prince, Mortarian, actually have a real good risk of getting, not so much Mortarian. Like, again, the problem with them is the fact that these Knights have, flat 8 damage, twatty melee. But when you've got 4 up invulnerable in close combat, especially, if you have some way to help them out with, some Nurglings to give that Knight -1 to hit, because it does affect them now, you genuinely, have an actual pretty good chance at living where you feel no pain as well.
On paper, I think it's actually a favourable matchup, but I don't know what the list looks like. I keep putting it in, and I keep getting halfway through and being like, it's not working how I intended it to. But if someone on the Discord wants to sort of pick this up, or maybe we'll pick it up in WhatsApp after us, or someone, I do think for some mad professor out there who's either got the time for the reps or can put every UKTC map down if we're in the UK and has got time to like deploy the army and write the list with the map in front of them, I do think there's something theory there anyway. I just don't know if it works in reality. But
now that being said as well, I'm just going to pull up the Atropus stats, what you just said, Will, because the Atropus actually was being taken by Hexfleet Virals. He took that to LVRC, I think it was, and he was already having success with it back at its old points. Because the Agent, it's got a 5 vulnerable in both combat and thingy. It's 28 wounds, toughness 11. Range weapon wise, it has two profiles for the Atropus Las Cutter. You can have D6 shots at strength 14, AP 3, 4 damage, sustained 1. It's not bad for shooting at knights, especially because its ability gives it +1 to hit and wound against other big knights. So you hit on 2s, wound it on 2s. That's actually pretty good.
And clean ones. Like this is adding into my list with him 3 6 pathetic blight haulers. But it probably doesn't function. If we're playing on like bedroom floors with no terrain or a planet bowling ball, it's probably the best list in tonight ever. But yeah, I don't know if it'll actually work in reality.
I think now one thing I would do at a point, I was a very good one that's probably brought up by Quack. So first of all, thank you very much, Bob Le Ponge, Mr. Bob. He's a Taliban fan as well from France. Thank you for the 7.
Oh yeah, if Bob wants to get on Discord, I don't normally do Discord, but if he wants to go on Discord and talk me about this, I'll happily thrash it out or be told why I'm completely wrong. But yeah.
So he says 7 is the blessed number. It truly is, Bob. Thank you so much for the support. Quack £5. This is what I wanted to talk about. Having played against Double Lancer, how the hell are we dealing with that silliness? Just mortal wounds everywhere, God forbid. So Double Lancer, I think, could actually be a problem, and it's annoying because the problem with Lancer is they have that ability to just 4-up you.
Yeah.
Because they have it in combat as well. Lancers are a problem, I won't lie. I hate them so much. The tank shock mortal wounds for free as well. They hit pretty damn hard. When it comes to Lancers, like, again, the main thing is just try and stop them getting where they want to go, which means you have to take up real estate. So, like, do we start looking again at, like, maybe at, like, bringing, like, a larger amount of Pox Walkers just to block lanes?
I think it's 3 units of 10 on UKTC anyway. I'm kind of stealing other people's hot takes here, Andy QC. He always gets one of them, Andy QC. But yeah, I think because he makes a point because of the way the boards are. So I think we probably want to be taking more Pox Walkers anyway, just for the infiltrate, because the board's a lot more open, and I think having the real estate to hold things back and sort of like push things out of line is good. But I don't know, does the 20-man come into play? But then the new UKTC board specifically, they look like they're a disaster for big units, which is another reason why maybe they look like they're sort of like they wouldn't MSU. They look like they're sort of that's what they're screaming out for.
Yeah,
I don't know. So yeah, what do you think, Ian? I didn't mean to cut your point.
No, it's cool, man. It's like I think you definitely need screens to go inside, and this is the problem we're gonna have is that Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights were kind of figured out for a long time. Like, you know, you had your War Dog spam, and then you had Canis plus some other dogs and maybe one other big knight, and that's about it. Now there's like so many goddamn builds that could, like, you could run into triple Atropus, you could run into double Lancer, like how do you prepare for all of it? And I don't think there's a particularly good answer. I think the only thing's gonna be there is Canis. We know that guy's gonna be there. Bellend.
He's gonna be there a lot.
Yeah.
Or 3 abominants. It seems to be Canis and Imperium, 3 abominants in Chaos.
Chaos.
The 2 that.
I think Chaos ones. So if we quickly talk about Chaos Knights, A-bombs are gonna be a thing. I think the Lords of Dread detachment, like you need to bring some OC. Because you need to unsticky that 5 OC.
Yeah, I heard on another podcast I was talking about a game that streamed where they're basically that like Plague Storm's disaster into that list because they deliberately picked everything that had more than 3 OC and went, well, you're never going to hold that objective now unless you put 2 vehicles, and I'm going to make sure you never have more than 1 vehicle anywhere near it. Apparently they just played that game, they just picked them all down to less than 5 OC. So I think that is the other. You make a really valid point. I think it's the other thing we need to be conscious of. All these little 3 or 4 OC units running around. Because you can get activation burn on the big nice list, which is the other reason why that might be good. But then, where's your OC coming from? Like 10 Pox Walkers will only hold you off so far, especially if it's Chaos Knights and they have 4 or 5 War Dogs still chipping them away with the outer line of sight guns.
Do you know what else is fun into War Dogs? Is Big Burt.
Oh,
Strength 10, flat 3 damage battle cannons, 4d6 plus 12 into toughness 9 War Dogs, potentially toughness 8. Anyway, not that breakpoint makes a difference. That's a fun bit of shooting.
maybe she's in the demons list I'm talking about, Dave. Imagine that. Shooting toughness 9 Big Knights. He'd be having a field day. That is one shooting match he wants.
He wants that all day long.
So, the thing is, chat's having a discussion right now about what they think is the best thing into it.
No, we could just talk about anything. Chat's very busy at the minute.
Don's coming in with his $7.77. It says Plague Storm lists Crush Knights like Assassin's Creed's best day ever. I think that is dependent again on the Knights build, because the biggest concern I have right now is if you run into Triple Atropos, because Triple Atropos and you play Plague Storm, you've handed their entire army Ballistic Skill 2. Because they all get +1 to hit and wound against vehicles, and they're all pretty damn good at killing vehicles. So you had to be a bit careful of that. I have no doubt Plague Storm can deal the damage to kill the Knights. But I think the problem again is, as we said, like, can you
Storm's...
It's weird.
Plague Storm's problem is be like Canis and 12 little guys. You kill the Knights, but you're not scoring any primary along the way, and you'll lose at the end of the game because you didn't score enough points.
Oh, it's so hard to counter everything.
They turned up with your same skew, but they did your skew better, and they're like, okay, you killed.
The question for you two is: do you think what we're most likely to see is multi-Big Knight in either flavor list or Big Knight War Dog spam still? Do you think people have gotten over that fact yet?
I think it's 3 Big Knights and 6 to 7 little ones.
I think initially we're going to see the 5 Big Knights. Only because we want to run the Big Knights. It sounds really dumb. Everyone's saying it's like the unkillable, fucking easy win. I don't actually think it will be. I think
that list doesn't score any secondaries, and I think
this is what I'm saying.
Generally, MSU, you just play cards. You can lose a couple of turns of primary, and you might squeak it to a point or two.
I think you see 5 bigs for the first couple of weeks because people just want to play it, and I think then, like any other army, it's going to get figured out, and people are going to start finding out the best build. It probably will end up being like some combination of Knights and small ones as usual. Because the one good thing we have, and again, let's talk back to our army. Pox Walkers are fantastic because one thing that's really good is you can play this is what we talked on about. You can play Fix, Assassinate, Bring It Down, and the good thing about playing Fixed is, because you're not on a timer to score your secondaries, you can guarantee you get Challenger cards. And Challenger cards are stupid, turns out. Having the ability to advance, fall back, shoot, and charge with 10 Plague Marines out of a Rhino, yes please, or be able to get out of a Rhino, shoot, and then move D6. Oh, I'm stood next to the Rhino, I'll get back in behind the wall. So I hopped out of the Marines, shot, and then got back in the Rhino. Like, they're so dumb. And the thing is, if you take that, you might think, okay, well, the Knights player just won't send the Knights forward. But they kind of have to, because they're going to be playing tactical, and half the cards they're going to get are going to force them to either go into, like, No Man's Land. And think about how many are in No Man's Land right now. Or they have to kill stuff. And the good thing is, because we have Pox Walkers that can infiltrate, you just start them on objectives. You're just like, cool. Or, well, not on it, but, like, just off it, so you don't get overwhelming. And you walk onto it, because now the Knight player has to come forward. They don't have to expose themselves fully and come and shoot you, but they have to at least come forward to just out-OC you off the primary, or you just win on primary. So you can force the Knight player into interaction, and then you can go for your kills. But again, because you can play the long game, you know how I said, like, I want those 5 CP for that go turn? I can wait. Like, I don't need to... I can literally, on my final turn, score 40 secondary. Now, unrealistic, obviously, because I'd have to kill all 5 Knights in a turn, but I'm not going to wait till turn 5 to go in. But 3 and 4, like, 3 probably is when you're really going to go in, but...
You can't hide.
Too late.
I see what you're saying with that one. Like, if they hide them back, then you win on primary because you held the board. Unless they go second and they get some ridiculous points dumped at the end of the game. I think it's a fair point. I mean, so I was at Team Swamp the weekend, and the Challenger cards don't make as much of a difference in some games than you think, because you're often either within the points. Do you know what I mean? Like, they stop games being blowouts, but a game that's going to be a blowout, you still generally win in a single sense. You just win it by less. And then the games that are really close, there can be a feels bad where, like, one person gets a Challenger card on the last or second to last turn because they were 7 points behind going into, like, round 5. and they have bottom of turns, they got the challenger card, and with all the points dumped they already get, they win by 3 points or 2 points, whatever. That can be the feels bad, but they don't actually. They're not as impactful as I thought they were going to be.
I found them
unless
real
you go against
impactful.
the 5 knights.
I found them real.
That's
like,
where
like,
I think it would be.
I don't really care about the 3. Everyone goes about the 3 victory. I don't care about the 3 victory points. I didn't need to score 3 victory points before. I can win a game off the base deck alone. But you give me the opportunity to get like real ones to hit and wound on my Death Shroud,
6-inch
or like
consolidate and pile in.
yeah, or deep strike down and move D6 forward. Like if you play around the knowledge that you're going to get them, because I'm playing fix or something like that. Yeah, I can't control the card I get, but I can set myself up for potentially. When I do get them, and when I do get them, if you can use them the right way, like again, if my opponent puts out a unit, for example, and they've put this unit out there because they want to force my 10-man Plague Marines to come out and interact, and now suddenly I've been given a card that says I can do that and then get back in the Rhino behind the wall. That's bullshit. I shouldn't be able to do that. My army shouldn't be able to do that. And now the fact I can do that is ridiculous. Like I think these cards are stupid.
They are stupid, and I don't think they should be in the game. But I don't. The example you've given there is a very specific one because you don't know what the card is until you get it. You can't play around it until the moment. And there are some where, like, if you draw that one you've given the example there on turn 4 or 5, it might be a lot less meaningful because sometimes you're not playing with the units where that counts for much. Whereas obviously turn 2, turn 3 could be different. I don't know. Like, I think they're a big deal. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But they don't blow. Yeah, I don't know. They're weird. They weren't as impactful as I thought, but they are impactful. I thought they would like be way more impactful. I think is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I just want to add one thing to your discussion, then ask you a question. My view on the challenger cards has actually been the tournament scene would work perfectly fine without them. You could just use missions, right? And you could just run it, right? So that's one thing. But
I think you should be allowed one challenger card a game. Do you know what I mean? And I think that would be fine. So if there's one point in the game where each player is allowed one when they're behind 6, and it's like a sort of a one-off thing. I think the every turn thing, because the example that I was talking to someone about, I don't know if this will ever come up, but like in theory, if you know you're going second, you could deliberately play and always stay just 6 behind the opponent, like walk off objectives and stuff like that. Keep taking the strat, and then on the last turn, do the points dump to like win the game by 2 points. Like I don't know if that'll ever actually happen. If it does, like the person who pulls it off is an absolute. G.
I've been watching War Games live. I've been watching War Games live religiously, and the event that was on Saturday night, I saw a player in the final round not get area denial, so his opponent didn't get a challenger card at the top of the next battle round. Now, I'm not saying that is going to be a common thing, but he deliberately said, "I am not going to put this there and score it because of this."
I was playing a game, and I was upset Oliver, the Black Temple player, didn't kill one of my units, because on Purge you would have got an extra 4 points, which would mean I would have got a card, but he failed to kill it because of bad rolls. I was like, God damn it. I was like, I really want to die there. Like, it's so stupid that the fact that we're actually actively discouraging ourselves to play the game and score points because we don't want to give them a card. Like, I just think it's such a silly idea.
It
is dumb. Like it's definitely dumb.
Yeah, but bring it back to that.
We shouldn't. No, I was gonna say we shouldn't even be entertaining that thought process as players at an event, to be honest. But bringing it back to Knights. So my question was going to be, if you look at Deathguard in the recent 3 weeks of meta, we've had the highest representation in the mix for 3-4 weeks, or since Codex has come out, and I think it peaked at about 8.8% of certain big events.
Yes.
If you see Knights go to that level, post Codex,
I think they will. To be honest.
But bear with me here. If you have 8% of 200 players, right? You're talking that you're going to have, I don't know, 12, 14, whatever it is, 16 players out of 200. Your chances of playing an Imperial Knights player in that matchup is okay, but it doesn't mean you're going to be running into them back-to-back, game after game. So, given everything we've talked about tonight, if that is, let's pretend that's the level at which it goes to. The only difference, actually, sorry, just my point, I'm just now thinking about it, is you've got 2 flavors of Knights at the same time, so you could actually see 15%. Even so, you're still not likely to run into them game after game after game. How much should people be teching for it?
I think they should be taken for more than you'd think. Because I think the thing with Knights is... The reason that I think we're as popular as we are in the meta is partly because we're good, but also because everyone just owns us. A lot of people bought us in different discs. We're cool, we're a start box army. Some of the stuff that you need to make some of the meta lists is just quite generic Deathguard. It's just 10 Plague Marines, a Rhino, and some Demon Engines. It's not like, 120 Pox Walkers, which obviously not many people want to jump on. Like Thousand Suns are arguably just as good as us, but no one's jumping on them because it's not as popular models, whereas Knights are pretty popular. And I think, like, even now, for example, like the Chaos Knights thing, that Chaos Knights box is really good. The seven War Dogs. Like, if you buy 2 of them, it's literally an army. So I think there's loads of people who can get into them easily because of that. And I think there's loads of people who've got them who'll put them on the shelf. So put them on the table. So I think because of that, and I also think there'll be a lot of mid-table players bring them out. I think you'll see them at all levels of a tournament. It won't be like, I don't know, like Thousand Suns, where you might see them one round, and then unless you're on an undefeated run, you probably won't see them again. I think Knights you'll see at all levels. So I don't know. It's interesting, but only time will tell, I guess. I mean, are you guys going to tech for them for Leeds, for example? Do you expect to play them there?
Exactly the same list I've been playing since Codex came out.
So it has affected what I'm taking because, I mean, I want to... Mine is a mixture. It's not just the Knights, it's the terrain change for UKTC as well. But I was going to take Mortarian's Hammer. I've actually swapped the champions now because, one, I actually play champions better because I'm not the best car park player. I like having a bit of infantry. But 2, I haven't played champions, so I'm going to try and tick that one off to get 4 and 1 with. I think it's very strong. I think it does tech into Knights pretty well, but it still has such a good tool set that you can still fight any other army. It's not like so specific into Knights. Like crit 5s is just good versus anything. You give everything sustained. So I mean, am I like teching hard into it? The only tech piece I'm really putting in is probably just the Carnivore. And again, I made sure the Carnivore at the moment still works into the other matchups. And he still does. Still great rapid ingress threat. Still plays the flank really well.
More stuff.
Yeah, forces reaction because it's 140 points. I don't really care if it dies too much. But
if he stands in your home field, he's fine.
Yeah, it's like he does a good job, and like again, he's got a nice, decent little counterpunch. The 6 OC is relevant. So I'm taking a bit over a toolboxy COC list. And we'll just, we'll see how it goes. I think we have to be aware of Knights, and I think if Knights do well, they will grow massive to be a massive proportion of the meta, because that's basically what we have seen in the past. Knights, when popular, just like Custodes, every fucker owns them, so they're gonna be everywhere. So do prepare for them. But don't go out your way to show up to a game with like 3 Predator and I mean, they suck anyway, but as an example, I wouldn't be going out of my way to try and just kill Knights, because the one great thing about this edition, and I won't lie, is even if there are really strong armies like Knights and Deathguard right now, there's still a great mix of armies showing up to events, because a lot of armies are viable. Even though Deathguard's doing really strong at the moment, it's probably one of the best armies in the game. Like, when you check the Meta Monday report, it's not just Deathguard winning everything. Like, Tau did really well. Like, there's still loads of armies that are out there doing well, and I think this is an edition where you genuinely can just play the army you like, unless it's Dark Eldar, unlucky. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, you still do that.
Yeah, they can. I think you have to really commit to it to play that army.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
But I think... So I wouldn't prepare for it too much, because the last thing you want to do is, like you say, run into that, and then run into that one GSC player, as we stated before, and then, like, cool, have fun with your 50 las cannons, and you can kill, like, maximum, like, 30 dudes a turn. You're going to lose that game. So, if you want to show up and just ruin Knight players' day, and you don't care about your final positioning, you go for it. You're a champ in my eyes if you do that. Take them out for us, boys. Yeah, Salamander's attachment one, as Phil said. So, I wouldn't, as much as we say, like, the Nightmare's coming in and we have to prepare for it, I'd still just... Honestly, I wouldn't recommend you go out and crazy change your listing.
Nope.
Like, Dave's taking Deathlord's Chosen. Will, what are you taking to Leeds?
I am torn between like 3 different lists. I played against someone at the weekend had a really cool list, and I think I'm gonna rip that off and just do some sort of tweaking. It's shout out to Mike Duff, by the way. Mike Duff is a gent and a scholar at the best of times, but his list was like the Liam VSL list of the start of the edition. Nice. It was just so simple. And it was just so effective, and it was literally just 3 of all the good units. 3 spawn.
Yeah.
3 haulers. 3 drones with heavy blight launchers.
Yeah.
3 load of Contagion, three Pox Walkers. Yeah, it was, but it was so effective. It was just
I'm not saying it wouldn't be,
two spitter drones on top. It's just loads of stuff.
Daring today, aren't we?
Because it was sticky, like sticky objectives. Everything was a nightmare to deal with, and like because obviously you could be really aggressive with stuff early doors. And then yeah, it was a very cool list. Big props to Mike for doing that. I don't know if it's one that needs fully sort of like cooked up himself, because I know he has a lot of connections to sort of Team England through sort of like, you know, just friends he's got. So I don't know if it was something that Super had helped him with, or if he just come up himself. But I think he came with himself, because because I was talking about it, and there was things I thought I would change, but he was sort of like, he taught as if he tested them himself. So yeah, big props to Mike. But before we start wrapping things up, I did want to ask you sort of specifically.
Just missed the donation. Well. Sorry, just very quickly. Dazza asked for a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, mate. Wouldn't spamming mortals be a good answer tonight? It's a double-edged sword. The increase to wounds on knights made mortal spam less effective, because it's hard to spam 26 mortals or something. It's still good because it's consistent damage, don't get me wrong, like there's no saves you got to worry about. So dealing mortals to knights is still good, but it isn't, it's a little bit worse than Imperial. But I mean, in any game, mortal wounds are good in general. So it's just, again, if you're playing like Deathlord's Chosen, for example, like D3 mortal wounds to every knight, it's going to be good, but it's not going to be like, because a knight only loses its impact when it's dead, and that's when a 26 was done to it. It's not like Eldar, where if Dave rolls a 3 and he's killed 3 fire dragons, like that's a big loss in output. Whereas against knights, not so much. But it's not bad. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's just not like amazing as it is into like MSU armies. Go on, Will. What are you saying? Sorry.
No, so I wanted to ask you. So Dave's put a really good point. I think we'll have to read that stout before we close. So just sort of linking tonight's, but slightly moving on from knights. Obviously, UK TC maps have been out. You've had some practice games. What do you think people should be taking in the lists or changing in their lists, looking at those maps? Now we've got the new maps. Do you think, you know, I haven't played any games on them at all, because I've been practicing for this team's event, which was WTC terrain.
Right.
So I'm gonna have a couple of games this week if I'm lucky, and I have to just submit a list almost blind. So if you guys have got some things, obviously the people I'm sure would love to hear your opinions, myself included. It'd be great to, for example, you mentioned 20 Pox Walkers, you know, anything like that. So I'll let you guys sort of take it away and sort of put your thoughts down.
I mean, for me, it's more just like there's going to be a lot of central staging, so I think we're going to see a lot more melee armies that just go through center stages. Another reason I've gone to COC, it's not just for knights. I now have on-demand fight first. And like, just not having to bring a foul blight spawn and still have on-demand fight first, I'm just like, okay, cool. My middle, I can still put my plague marines there and not have to worry about getting like running by melee, like some blade guard stuff. I will just fight first, I'll kill him. So it's had quite a bit of an impact. I also think there's more possibility. Again, it makes the Carnivore actually better, because that little strip that vehicles can move through is always in the middle of the board now. So he can obviously stage behind it and just bolt through whenever he wants to. So it's made the Carnivore pretty good as well for just starting on the board, less reliant and rapid. But I still like Rhino plays. I still think there's really good staging points for Rhinos on it. So I've gone back to dual Rhino. But I mean, yeah, I imagine on Dave, on yours, it's just a fucking dream for Mortarian.
It's brilliant. Like, you can just sit Mortarian like pretty center and just go great. I can put something out. I can react to move it if you come near it. If you do come, you know, kind of. The other thing I would say for DLC in these maps is there's a really simple choice of going. If your opponent's got a lot of bodies or they're fast and could get into you quick, then you start the 6-man on the table with the uppy downy, and you just go, don't come near the middle, because if you do, I'm going to come out and I'm going to smash whatever you put there, even if you're not really intending to do that, because it's the threat of it being there. And then if your opponent goes first, you pick it up and you're like, cool, in my first turn I can now put it back down wherever I want and move around you. I would definitely say, I know, Will, you're saying 3, and I'm not saying that's a bad choice. For me though, points wise and what I have to use in my list, 2 10-mans is good, because the way the terrain has been set up on the new maps, you can hide 10 and still touch them onto a point and force your opponent to put a unit out into a very awkward place if they want to kill it. And then it's really easy to drop a blight hauler or a blight hauler and a drone out and zap that unit and hit it really hard. Chaos Spawn also can be placed into places which look pretty open, but to be able to scout behind cover very easily if you need to, and if not, scout into staging.
There's some cracking spaces for spawn to get to. Like,
yeah,
on the first map,
places.
on the far left, there's a ruin, and he looks like you deploy forward, that your only option if you go second is to scout backwards. But you can actually scout forwards because there's a weird angle where they can only get shot by something that's deployed in the far left ruin. And if you haven't put anything good shooting in there, or even if it is good shooting, if they want to pop their ass out to shoot them, you can line up something behind your ruin to fire back at it, and you can get a good trade off there. Part of that, nothing else can get the weird angle that they can sit at. So actually, I'm trying my best to get a unit of spawn in my COC list, because at the moment I'm like 10 points off being able to fit him in, and it's annoying me because I love spawn. I think they're really, really good. And I'm just 10 points off being able to fit him in. I've got a third squad of Pox Walkers at the moment, and I'm floating 10 points. So I'm just like, oh, I could find 10 more points somewhere, which is bloody annoying.
What I would do, I don't know if you've, even if you just look on the top-down UKTC terrain map, is literally just get that and literally just draw some lines on it. You'll see that there's basically 2 big firing lanes, and then there's, on most maps, and then there's some that you have to be in a very particular position to get a nice line on. And with those, there's quite good ways to then go, okay, well I could tease someone to move into that space and then counterpunch it. I would say definitely do that if you haven't had a chance to sort of play a lot of the maps. Just look at those and just look at the sight lines, and you'll find that there's loads of good places to better move spawn or Pox Walkers, where you can just put 1 or 2 Pox Walkers out, put the rest behind cover, and your opponent, if they want to get to them, they can tow onto an objective, and your opponent's got to move out with a vehicle or a unit, which then puts them in danger of being put into contagion next turn, and if you want to drop something on them or get your own shooting from drones onto them. So I quite like the maps, the way they've done some changes. It's been good.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'll hopefully have a couple of practice games. I do have a UKTC set.
Yeah, I'm only going to get one more. I think one more game on the new maps and new terrain before the event, but I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, I don't know. I know DLC is not the meta mix of Deathguard. It's not the stronger the other, but I think it's going to be. I think it's a lot of fun. And when the detachment rule like spikes, it really, really f's up your opponent so badly. I've seen it happen It's happened to so many of my opponents where they've just been like, "Cool, I've got this guy left, and he's there," and you're like, "Oh, and he's like, I'm going to fall back," and you're like, "Hang on a second." In your command phase, "Oh no, he's dead." Cool. So I now hold this point, or like it's or now he's got to be battle shocked. Oh, he's failed battle shocked. Now you don't hold that point. It's fun.
This is the thing, innit? I think despite any nightmare or something, our booking our armies just fun. I probably should take VV because it's stronger, but I made the promise at the start of this thing, and I made the thing to myself that we've got such a good course. I'm going to play every single detachment, regardless if that is negatively impactful on my rankings in like competitive, because I just want to make sure that it also means that when we sit here and talk to you about stuff, I'm not just chatting out my ass and going, "Oh, it sounds bad on paper, it sounds bad on paper." I'm like, "No, I took it to a list, I took it to an event, it's actually surprisingly good," or "No, it was actually dreadful." So, yeah, I think just play what you're having fun with. And I think just because Deathguard is in general just good right now, you'll still be able to come home with some wins and have a fun time, and that's the most important thing.
The army's fun, like it really is. Like regardless of whether you run into, knights or you run into some list, you're just like, "Oh god, I'm never going to be able to beat that one." The army's in it's a super fun place, and the whole meta's kind of shook up in a minute. We've had book after book after book drop, new maps in the UK at least. There's been new changes to things, new points everywhere. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to these. I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. I think all of our opponents, everyone's going to be like, "Okay, so what the F do we do here?"
Bob's saying it in chat, but I do think I did actually tell you, Dave. Bob's apprentice took DLC to a 140 player event in France and came 5th with it and got a golden ticket with Deathlord's Chosen. So like,
come on,
hell yeah! Aiden, stop teasing your list and just tell us what it is. I can put it in the Discord if you guys want. I mean, it's nothing like crazy. It's like Malignant Playcaster, Biology Putrefier, 10 Marines as per usual. Then I've got a Lord of Poxes with 5 Marines, another 5 Bare Bone Marines, 2 Rhinos, 2 Lords of Contagion. They're both getting 3 Death Shrouds. Then we've got a Tallyman, 3 squads of Pox Walkers, 2 Heavy Blight Launch Drones, 2 Pathetic Blight Haulers, Carnivore. I think that's all she wrote. I think. Again, I'll have to double check it, but honestly, it punched pretty hard. It hit real hard, like more than you'd think. And also, I kind of just want to use the Lord of Poxes because I painted him up and he doesn't really see much meta play in many meta lists. And I think he's actually just really cool looking model. So he's my pet unit I'm bringing. because he's just adorable, and I want to bring him along, and I want to have him claim some skulls for Nurgle. So even if that, because honestly, I should just drop him, get either a Foul Blight spawn or a Barge Putrefier, and there's my 10 points for spawn, which would be way better. But again, look how cool that model is. I'm taking him. I don't care. I'm taking the cool model.
Rule of cool, guys.
It's just cool. It'd be really, but yeah, I will see that. Thank you very much, Basil Bald Guy, Random Hammer. Thank you very much for coming to Death Shroud, mate.
We'll get those Nurglings.
Super appreciate it. And then Mr. Orange saying, we admire Aiden's commitment to trying out all the detachments, but does he dare run another list chosen by the DRP community, or is it Deathguard Dave's turn? Wah.
Yeah, I mean, when we get to our next milestone, I don't mind taking that one on.
Oh, okay, right, okay. We get to torch Dave with the next list. Excellent. So you're
you have to make me play something that isn't Death Lord's chosen.
That's we will make you suffer. Don't worry. It's like Pox Walker attachment 0.
Oh, no, the first thing will just be the first fundamental rule will just be no Death Shroud.
Oh dear me. But yeah.
In case anyone's worried, Will hasn't died. I think he's just frozen.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I've just noticed that myself. Don keeps...
Oh, God, I keep forgetting it's my fault. I promise that this week I will post Aiden his cheese platter.
Because I'm not going to remind him.
I'm
sure as fuck
he's not forgetting me. Don, message me. Just DM me and I'll do it.
Please don't. Please forget about this. Please. I don't want to do it. No, it's a mistake. Hey, Aiden, how do you feel about VV going in Mortarian's Hammer? Do you mean like, how do you feel about going into it with VV?
Right. Okay.
I think Hammer has a bit of an advantage. It's twofold. If VV gets first turn, you can sticky quite a few things. You force Hammer to come forward. Hammer generally is stronger going first anyway because you can pick your contagion targets and just instantly get benefit of them. But Hammer does have some advantages against VV as well because you have the -2 to charge, so you can stop those charges coming in easy from Death Shroud. But the sticky and the Lone Up Demon Prince, which is usually seen in VV all the time, not so much in Hammer. Some people take it, not everyone does, but that Lone Up really can force Mortarian Hammer's hand. But at the same time, the Hammer can PBC off the guys who are like in the indirect off, like the guys who are providing the Lone Up. So honestly, it's a really close, tight game. It swings and roundabouts, and it'll come down to the play skill. But I think I'd favour potentially Hammer unless VV goes first. And if VV can land one of the 8-inch charges from Death Shroud into something important, then it can actually flip around. I played it, have VV versus Mortarian's Hammer. It was a very close game. I did get the win with VV, but it was squeaky bum time. I won't tell you, it was squeaky bum.
I agree with you. I can imagine that if one of your bits of your turn goes a bit wrong, then Hammer can really annihilate that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so hard. It's so insane.
Everyone, don't worry. The Matrix hasn't glitched. Just Will's internet has broken. So
ready for this? Ready for this? We can go to the two guest screen. Look at that. The main screen's obviously empty. We can't see chat now. Well, we can see chat. You guys can't.
We can see chat.
Yeah, so it's fine. We're wrapping up anyway soon. Yeah, look at that. But again, I mean, VV is very strong. So I would say if you had two equally skilled players, VV probably just pulls out just because of how to play primary sticky and stuff like that. But again, it all depends. Hammer can put a lot of damage out, so you gotta be a little careful. Just gotta be a little careful. But it's a very close game. It's a very close game. It's a great game to have. And very, very close.
And I think what's really important is, regardless of, well, not even regardless, but based on everything we said tonight, it just shows that the game is in a really interesting place. We've only just talked. This whole chat has been about one. Like, it's been about Knights. That's it. Like, there are tons of other factions in the game, tons of new rules in the game, new maps, new layouts. Tournament organisers are doing stuff. We've got challenger cards. We've got new mission rules have changed. The game's in a fun place. I'm actually really chomping to get back to tournament now, just to play and experience it and have new games with people and have it refreshed. I think it's going to be really good. So, look, guys, when you're out there, enjoy it, and stay tuned for our update. We'll have a big Leeds debrief because all three of us are there. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have a really big.
And if you are there, come over and say hello.
Come and say hi. Yeah,
we're not those channels that are like. I know some people don't like no, they don't like it, but it's just like they like when it comes to social interaction. It's just like, hi, how you doing? Okay, yeah. No, we'll chat your ass off. We don't care. So even
if you don't want to have like a big chat with us, if you want to just come and say hi, that's totally fine.
Don't feel like you have to like engage in a long conversation. You just want to stand next to me so you feel tall. that's also fine. Like, I understand that as well.
And that will be 98% of people on the planet.
It will be 98% of people.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit like Aiden was transported out of like the medieval times.
Yes.
When everyone was that height. Like, it's just strange now.
Yeah, I think I'm a Time Lord or something. I think, but I didn't. I just didn't regenerate. I just forgot to regenerate at one point and just stayed 5'7" for life. So yeah, I mean, we will have a big debrief. So before we go off, let's just obviously quick reminder that, again, if you want to enter the giveaway to win one of these signed copies of The End and the Death by Mr. Dan Abnett himself, make sure you are a member, you are in our Discord, and you go to the giveaways channel and react to the post that has it on it, and you'll be entered into the giveaway.
These are super cool. These are signed by Dan Abnett. Dan sold like 4.5 million books.
Yes.
Like, he wrote the culmination of the Horus Heresy, and he signed 3 of these, and we've got them for you.
Yeah.
Like, enter the competition. It's super cool.
Exactly. So they are... Piss off, Nat. She put 5'6" in the chat. So mean. 5'7". So when I got with her, she was 5'5", and now she's 5'8", and I hate it so much. So there's that. Obviously, again, the painting competition ends tonight at midnight. So if you wanted to get your entry in as part of our Discord, go to the painting competition channel and just put in anything. Again, it doesn't have to be Deathguard. And it doesn't even have to be something you're entering to win. Right. Just be proud of it, because we're going to look at all of the entries live on stream later this week, and we're just going to have fun going through and celebrating your guys' hobbies. So, yeah, I mean, part of that, please feel free to leave a like and a subscribe if you're new here. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the chat tonight. But again, actually, despite being kind of ranty at the start, I think I'm still feeling positive. Like, I just think our army's just going to be fun to play regardless. Like, and the thing is, if we run into knights and they're stupid, okay, knights are stupid. What can you do?
Exactly. I mean, there are a lot of people who play us and they go, "That was stupid." So if we play knights and it's stupid, it's totally fine. Like, you know, I'm actually, I always look forward to playing into the thing that's kind of the potentially super bad for us. It's actually always a really fun game to try and see what you can do with it. But like I said, I think Space Wolves, Emperor's Children, Deathguard, World Eaters.
Wolves aren't in for Leeds, though, are they?
They're not in for Leeds, I don't think. No.
So the pre-order this week, released next week, but rules cut off, I think, is the Friday next week.
I think
so they just miss it, which is, you know, that's fair.
And the other update I was just going to give you guys is, in my hunt for guests, I've reached out to the guy who runs one of the larger tournament circuits in the world to see if they want to come on for a chat. And I've also reached out to somebody who, I won't say who it is, but I'm just going to infer, somebody who all might have probably watched, who live streams a lot of games from around the world, to come on as well and tell us about their bit. So I'm working on some other guests in the background to bring onto the channel. It seems like you guys have enjoyed some of the interviews, and I think those could be quite fun. The other thing I would say is to YouTube members, if there's someone in the community, or the other person I've reached out to is someone who does a lot of lore videos, and has got a very popular channel about lore videos.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
even I don't know, chat. Even I don't know. This is magical for me to hear.
Just, I don't like to say what it is until I've got it. So like, it's just kind of, it's like a box of surprises. But if you guys in the YouTube member channel want to suggest anybody, please feel free to, and I'll happily see if I can approach them too.
All right, but for now, guys, we're going to head off because I also need to run to the toilet, which is very Nurgle, so I'm going to make it real quick. So thank you very much, guys. Like and subscribe. Stay rotten, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Take care for now. Bye-bye.
In the void, with the in the void, where the warp winds howl, a fleet once noble, now destined to fall. Grave wardens stir, betrayal takes shape, Typhon's whispers sealing their fate. Navigating fighters lost to the shadowed lie, a fleet adrift beneath a darkened sky. The warp's cruel grasp, unyielding and tight, chaos awaits in the endless night. Whispers of power, a pestilent tide, Mortarian's pride, with nowhere to hide. The destroyer plague, a grim reward, Nurgle's laughter echoes aboard. Bound by decay, they rise in his name. The Deathguard transformed, never the same. Plague-born sons with torment they bled, shambling forth where angels fear to tread. Mortarian stands, his sons by his side. Through agony storm, their oaths collide. Grandfather's hand, the pact is sealed. The legion reborn, their fate revealed. Lies in the armor, rot in the soul. A Primarch remade, his heart grown cold. In terror's shadow, their war drums beat. Pestilent warriors, no chance of retreat. Through breach and ruin, their banners fly. With death's embrace, they'll never die. The Lion's Gate, where hope was torn. Jagged ties, plague meets the Plague-born. Bound by decay, they rise in his name. The Deathguard transformed, never the same. Plague-born sons with torment they bled, shambling forth where angels fear to tread. Typhus herald, chaos born, Mortarian's wrath, the plague sworn. In the warp, their legacy thrives, eternal servants where corruption lies. Mortarians fall, Typhus ascends, the Deathguard song, it never ends.